This is Algebra 1 class with Mr. Hennessy. This is our crew that's watching today. I've warned them to be very good. This is Luke, our cameraman. Thank you, Luke, for helping again. Hey guys, the group texts are going to end and everything is going to be in Google Classroom from now on. So starting today, go to Google Classroom, and that's where you'll find the video and the homework and everything that you need. All right, so we're going to go over today's lessons. Thank you guys for getting your homework in from yesterday. Most of you did pretty good. Please check your odds in the back on your own. That will help you know that you're doing it right. And I will try to answer questions as best I can when I can. All right, so here we go. Zeros of a parabola are the same thing as x-intercepts. They call them zeros because the y value is 0 where the x-intercept is. Okay, so there's three cases here. Sometimes when you have a parabola, you might have it come down like this and up like that, in which case this point and this point would be the zeros. So let's put a couple slashes in here. So the zeros for this parabola would be -1 and +2. Sometimes though, you can have a parabola that might go like this. It might come up and just barely touch the x-axis. And so this one would only have one zero, and that one zero would be 2. Okay, getting the idea from that? Now there's also another case, this is kind of a weird one. It could be the parabola is just up here hanging in space, in which case it doesn't cross the x-axis at all. I'm trying to do this fast so we have short videos. So the zeros would be none. There's no zeros at all. So anyways, I'll have you look in the book and have you look at graphs. This is pretty easy. You just tell them what the zeros are, and then you got it done. Okay, so this I'll come back and use in just a second. I want to go to axis of symmetry. So to get the axis of symmetry, you would take a quadratic formula, something like this, and you would use this. And this has to be memorized. It says x equals -b over 2a. Now remember that in standard form, your a is here, your b is here, and your c is here. So the lowercase letters, don't let that mess you up. It just stands for whatever's in front of the x for a, whatever's in front of this x for the 4. I should say whatever is in front of the x squared is your a, whatever is in front of your x is your 4, and whatever is in front of your, well, there's front of nothing here, it's just your last one, that's your c. So if I want to do this, I'm going to put x equals -b. I call this a rotten banana over 2 apples. So I got to take the negative of whatever's here. So on top would be -4. On the bottom would be, well, this is an invisible 1 here, and I have to multiply it by 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So that means x equals -2. And what that tells us, if we go over here to this graph right here, which is why I want you to see it, is that the axis of symmetry splits the parabola exactly in half. And so I'm not sure where my parabola goes. We'll just make a pretend one here. But you can see that the axis of symmetry will always cut the parabola exactly in half. So when they ask you to find the axis of symmetry, your answer will look something like x equals -2. Again, check the odds in the back of your book to make sure you're doing it right. The last thing they're going to have you do is find the vertex of a parabola. The vertex is this point, this point, this point. It's a point where it turns. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a different one here. Let's say y equals x squared minus 6x plus 2. Well, to get the vertex, the first thing you do is you find the axis. And so we're going to use x equals a rotten banana over 2 apples, which equals the negative of -6 would be +6. 2 times 1 is 2, and so we get 3. Once we get the 3, what we do is we plug it in up here where the x's are. And so that will give us our y. So y would be equal to 3 squared is 9 minus 6 times 3 is 18, but then the plus 2. Be really careful with this. A lot of people get upset because they get the wrong answer, and it's just because they did their math wrong here, which is really easy to do, isn't it, Luke? Okay, so 9 minus 18 is -9, plus 2 is -7. So y equals -7. So the vertex for this parabola would be at 3, -7. And that's your answer. And all that means on a graph is that wherever it turns, this one opens up because it's positive, so 3, -7's down here, so I now know that my parabola is going to look something like this. You don't have to know that for the book. You have to know this for that. Okay, this last one, Luke is just going to zoom in on for a minute, and this is actually problem number 17 in the book. I made a fabulous drawing, and I did all my work out, and I actually gave you the answer. But I want you to study and look at that so that you know how to do story problems. Don't think they're hard. They're actually more fun than the others. That's what I think. Remember, it's all on Google Classroom. Bye. Have a